Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the grand finale of season 1 of the Melody Podcast.
Student, now we're ready to share stories of melodies that fill the air. From rock and roll to soul and everything in between. We'll take you on a journey, it's a sonic dream. Welcome to the Melody Podcast, where music comes alive. Discover the history and the songs that will make you thrive. From catchy hooks to heartfelt lyrics, we've got it all. Join us on this melodic ride, we'll have a ball.
As we wrap up this incredible journey through melodies, rhythms, and stories, I want to take a moment to reflect. From the very first note to the latest chart-topping hits, we've explored the vast landscape of music together. We've laughed and danced our way through genres, eras, and emotions. In this special episode, we're diving deep into the heart of music, recapping the last 16 episodes of the season. We started with the evolution of music, which is our most played episode. Do you remember what the first instrument was? We explored the mind and music, how the 60s defined generations of music, the most influential artists, the best live performances, how music is fused together, the unsung heroes of music, the people behind the artists to make the songs incredible. We learned about all different genres from catstep to electro jazz, and our series of decades of top artists and hits from the 50s to the 2020s. We have traveled through many topics of incredible music. This finale is special to me because I never believed in myself to create content like this. I take the love I have for music and I get to talk about it every week on the podcast. No matter who listens, I still get to do the podcast for the simple reason I love music and that's all that really matters. I have talked about all types of music genres, but I may not have spoke much about this genre, but it's not too late. On this season finale of the podcast, we're going to talk country. Let's, let's explore the wild, wild west. Here are the top songs of each decade. In the 1940s, you had I'll Hold You in My Heart Till I Can Hold You in My Arms by Eddie Arnold. The song was a significant hit and showcased the smooth Nashville sound that would come to dominate the genre. In the 1950s, you had I'm Moving On by Hank Snow. It was one of the definite songs in the era and held the number one spot on the country charts for 21 weeks. In 1960s, you had I Fall to Pieces by Patsy Cline. This song is one of the most memorable and influential tracks in country music history. 1970s, Take Me Home Country Roads by John Denver. This iconic song became an anthem for West Virginia and a staple of country music. In 1980s, you had He Stopped Loving Her Today by George Jones, often cited as the greatest song of all time, a poignant tale of love and loss. 1990s, you had Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks. This song's widespread popularity and sing-along quality made it a decade-defining hit. In the 2000s, you had Live Like You Were Dying by Tim McGraw. This song resonated with many for its message about living life to the fullest. In the 2010s, you had Body Like a Back Road by Sam Hunt. It broke many records for most weeks atop the country music charts and crossed over to the mainstream success. For the most recent decade, the 2020s, is still unfolding and there have been many great hits so far. It might be too early to declare a top song of the decade just yet, but tracks like Starting Over by Chris Stapleton and The Good Ones by Gabby Barrett have made significant impacts. Here are some of the greatest classical country hits of all time. I Walk the Line. I Walk the Line by Johnny Cash. Cash's first number one hit on Billboard chart managed to keep itself on the radar for 43 weeks. He said the song was a pledge of devotion to his new wife, Vivian, and it was written backstage in just one night. Quite impressive. Jolene by Dolly Parton. The Parton hit was her second chart topper and even crossed into the mainstream music territory. It's one of her most covered songs, and she's revealed in interviews that the real Jolene is a composite of her bank teller and a fan she met at a show. Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks. Songwriting duo Dwayne Blackwell and Earl Bud Lee handed the song off to then unknown Brooks, who took the tune to the number one chart spot and wound up making a fairly big name for himself in country. These songs represent the heart and soul of country music, from classical artists to modern day superstars. Whether you're a true believer or someone who claims to hate the genre, there's something here to get your toes tapping. These songs left a lasting mark on the genre and continue to influence artists and fans alike. Here are the top 5 all time country favorites. Johnny Cash, known for his deep, distinctive voice and the boom chicka boom sound of his backing band, the Tennessee Three. Cash's music blended country with rock and roll, blues, and gospel influences. George Strait, with a career spanning decades, Strait is known as the king of country, and he's one of the most influential and popular recording artists of all time. He's known for his neo-traditionalist country style and cowboy look. Hank Williams, often regarded as one of the most significant and influential American singers and songwriters of the 20th century. Williams recorded hits like Your Cheating Heart, Hey Good Looking, and I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. Dolly Parton. Beyond her hit songs, and distinctive voice, Parton is known for her work in film, her theme park Dollywood, and her philanthropy. I can never say that word. She's a cultural icon whose career has spanned over 6 decades. And Merle Haggard, known as the poet of the common man. Haggard's music reflected his life's hardships and successes. His songs are celebrated for their portrayal of the American working class. There are so many great country music hits despite recent controversies. Country music stands tall and is thriving. Many pop/hip hop artists are looking into the saloon for their next hit. Here are some artists exploring country. Beyonce released a country album this year with her single Texas Hold'em, and Post Malone has rumored a country album later this year. He has already recorded tracks with Morgan Wallen and Hardy. But they aren't the first ones to expand to the countryside. In 1962, Ray Charles released his signature album, Modern Sounds in Country and Western Music, unique that it took country standards and arranged them in R&B and jazz styles. The album reached the top 25 on the Billboard 200 and became a key influence on generations of artists. Charles would also reach the Hot Country Songs Top 20 in 1983 with Born to Love Me, and earned a number one hit with Willie Nelson duet Seven Spanish Angels in 1985. Charles was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2021. In 1969, Bob Dylan wrote and recorded the love letter to country music with Nashville Skyline, which was recorded at Columbian Studios in Nashville and featured musicians including Charlie Daniels, Pete Drake, and Charlie McClure. Country icon Johnny Cash also duetted with Dylan on a new version of his folk standard, Girl from the North Country. In 1984, Lionel Richie hit song Stuck on You topped the adult contemporary chart, but also reached number 24 on the Hot Country Songs chart. 3 years later, his song Deep River Women, featuring country group Alabama, reached the top 10 on the Hot Country Songs chart. In 2012, Richie, who was also the sole writer on Kenny Rogers' hit Lady, released the album Tusky, reworking several of his own hits as collaborations with a slew of country music artists. The album topped the Billboard Hot Country Albums chart. Season 2 of the Melody Podcast starts next Tuesday and Thursday. That's right, 2 episodes a week. Join me on May 28th for the first episode of Season 2 exploring Jelly Roll's biography. And on May 30th, we'll talk about Taylor Swift's biography. We'll explore everything from how they grew up to the life they lived to how they got into music to how they've accomplished their life to get to where they are now, per se. Tonight, as we bid farewell to this season, let's celebrate the artists who painted our souls with their music. And as the curtain falls, I want to share a secret with you. Behind every song lies a universe where dreams collide, where pain finds solace, and where love dances in moonbeams. Our favorite artists are cosmic travelers, waving stardust into melodies and inviting us to join them on this celestic voyage. So, my fellow music enthusiasts, let's raise our invisible lighters and sway to the rhythm of memories. Let's honor the late night jam sessions, the vinyl crackles, and the lyrics scribbled on napkins because music isn't just a sound, it's a time machine, a bridge between hearts. As we fade into the night and remember that the next season awaits new harmonies, fresh discoveries, and perhaps a guest or two, until then, keep your playlist filled, your hearts open, and your ears hungry for more. This has been the Melody Podcast, signing off from Season 1. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of the Melody Podcast, for listening, sharing, liking, rating, whatever way you supported this for me. I can't thank you enough. I can't wait to see what will be at the end of Season 2. Good night. This will be the last episode recorded on Spotify. Spotify is changing their recording stuff. I'm switching to a new provider. So this will be the last episode recorded on Spotify. The podcast will still be on Spotify, but there will be different things that I cannot do on this podcast that I did on the new podcast that I did on Spotify, such as integrating music and stuff like that. So that's it for that. Thank you for listening. Have a great night.